Coming to you from our opulent and luxurious 4x8 refurbished room closet at the national headquarters in Indianapolis. With duct tape studio lights and a mic that you barely can hear, we hope to entertain and educate you. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Hello, and welcome back to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast. I am your host, Mark Seavey, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Ashley Gorbolja-Maldonado, who, if you didn't just see it on TV, on the YouTube, she has Chip from Beauty and the Beast, which is kind of clever.
It is
and
very clever.
My other co-host needs no introduction. It's Bud from The Cosby Show. How are you, Bud?
Adam.
I'm all right.
It's a little psych reference. I told you I'm going to give you different Gus Burton names each week from now on.
For a while watching Psych, I actually thought that he was Bud from Cosby Show because I think they said that more than once.
That's one of my favorite recurring gags in that show. All right, so I am told we have a hard out on this, so we're supposed to be brief, which is not really our specialty, but we will leap right into it, starting with a story in Stars and Stripes. And this one is just preposterous to me, but the Department of Veterans Affairs has lost the domain rights to GIBill.com, which some advocates fear could open the potential for scammers to target veterans. The VA appeared to have GIBill.com at least through May 20th, according to the Wayback Machine, which archives screenshots of websites. Yet VA officials contend the domain was lost during the administration of former President Obama. Now, I'm going to go back and tell you how this all came to be, but back in 2010, there was an organization called Quinn Street that had GIBill.com. And it was, according to the article, masqueraded as an official VA website steering veterans to for-profit colleges. It also gave the impression that the colleges advertised were the only schools at which veterans could fully utilize their GI Bill benefits. After the settlement, the investigation concluded that a review of 8,000 emails through the GIBill.com site, many of which came from veterans who thought they were communicating with VA officials. The marketing firm consistently redirected visitors to a small group of for-profit schools, which is just a complete scumbag maneuver. And the VA took them to court, and they won the rights to the GIBill.com, and they have now let it lapse, which is ridiculous. And apparently they had it registered in the name of a VA employee who subsequently left, and thus the email to renew it never made it to the guy, which is crazy. If you're out there and you own a business or you're in a company, don't register it in your name. Send it to legal@legion.org or something that someone else can access other than an individual. I actually talked to my attorney this morning about this case because he's a copyright expert. It's not as bad as it sounds. The same thing that happened the last time cannot happen this time because the GI Bill has been registered as a trademark. So,
right.
But that's only in conjunction with educational benefits. There's nothing to keep, a car company or somebody else from using GIBill.com. They just can't use it for any educational purposes. So at least that's there. Also, the VA owning the trademark, they can try to get the name back. The question is what they have to go through this ICANN registration thing. It's too convoluted to really explain, but this is just sloppy. Ashley, what do you got on this one?
So as a student veteran myself and someone who's worked in higher education and helped to run a community college and helped folks realize that they were being taken advantage of by for-profit colleges or folks that utilize majority of their GI Bill somewhere where they weren't supposed to or they didn't know what they didn't know, I'm disheartened by this. It's unfortunate that that individual, whoever, there's just a huge lack of oversight on this. It's just hard. It's hard to see the VA they're taking one step forward and it's just, yeah.
Yeah. Jeff, what you got on this one?
I just think that it's a shame that something that cost about $30 a year to renew, and they already went through the expense and time and energy to win it back in court before. And what your lawyer friend says is, I'm going to take as true. If these people decide to go forth with it again, the VA is going to go through the time, the effort, and the ridiculous PR of going through the court again. And it's, as you said, these things need to be centralized. I mean, on a post level, it happens too. Like we have some of our not domains, but we have some of our social media venues that are in individual names just because of the way social media works. You kind of have to sign up as a person and then create a business account. But on the level of the Department of the Veterans Affairs, this should not be an issue. If an employee leaves, it should go back to a default that then somebody in IT can redirect and go, oh, wow, this is a domain thing. Let me send this to somebody else. It should never, ever get lost. And I think you can probably add supplemental
You can.
addresses and things like that. So, and they've already been through it. That's the part that's so frustrating. They've already been through it, and they're going through it again. I just it's baffling to me that bureaucracies of such size and depth it's the reason why these things happen, because they're just so huge. But two, you would think with that size there would be some sophistication and redundancy and learning that goes on from your experience. So that's my take.
And the VA obviously has some sort of blanket email address that's not specific to an individual, you know, whether it's complaints@va.gov or whatever it happens to be, IT@va.gov, there's some blanket thing. Why it wasn't sent to that, but the excuse from the VA blaming it on the Obama administration is pretty weak too, because this was just purchased here recently. Are you telling me that we've been 3 years in and nobody noticed this until May? It just, the whole thing seems
It wasn't
hinky.
important. Let's just.
I mean, at the very least, it's good that it's not going to be scammers getting it again. Hopefully, whoever has it right now is just going to say, "Hey, give me $1,000 or whatever," and save everybody the legal fees and the stupidity. So. All right, we will take our first commercial break, and we'll be back with you in a minute.
If you care about disabled veterans and children in need, and we know you do, donate today to the American Legion Veterans and Children's Foundation. Any amount helps. Donate online at legion.org/donate.
All right, and we are back, and I realized about halfway through that segment that I was wearing a sweatshirt still instead of, my actual shirt. So in the span of a week now, I've gone from suit and tie to New England Patriots sweatshirt, which I think is a pretty good move on my part. All right, Ashley.
The North remembers.
Yeah, that's the Patriots. It's got the Patriots logo in the middle of it. It's a reference to Deflategate.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's a Game of Thrones Deflategate
not a Patriots
crossover.
thing,
Yeah, it's a little esoteric, but all right, Ashley, we are going to you with our second story today.
All right, so super excited. For those of you who have ever been to Arlington National Cemetery, I'm sure you went through the visitor center, and you went and you waited for the trams and the buses. But a lot of people don't realize that the Military Women's Memorial is the huge semicircle gateway to Arlington. A lot of people don't realize that that's a memorial and education center. So super exciting. So let's see, October 18th, they celebrated their 23rd anniversary. And to commemorate this anniversary, in addition to honoring all military servicewomen, they have unveiled a life-size bronze statue entitled "The Pledge," showing a woman in full combat uniform bonding with a service dog. Got to be there and see it. Absolutely gorgeous. It is the first of its kind within the DMV area, specifically for women and also for canine handlers. The monument was commissioned by the U.S. War Dogs Association and was unveiled unveiled through a really great ceremony, and I was just really impressed. It's been circulating through the news, and the pledge is just a symbolic of, the honor and commitment of brave servicewomen and all the jobs that they do, in addition to, the unspoken bond between dog handler and handler. So I thought it was a really great story to share with everybody, and if you have never been to the Military Women's Memorial, you should go and check it out and see this beautiful, beautiful statue. It sits right in the lobby of the memorial.
Yeah, the memorial is a little difficult. Like, if you're driving to Arlington and you haven't been there before, you're more focused on trying to find where you're supposed to park and everything.
Yeah.
And if you come via metro, you kind of bypass it entirely. So I think a lot of people don't know. I just happen to know because I know another young lady who was honored there one time, and I happen to know about it. But it is somewhat tough to find, and it's great to see the inclusion of dog handler. Jeff, what do you got on this one?
I don't have a lot because everything's kind of been said. I haven't been to DC in so many years, and I think I've only been twice, and I never did all of the memorial monument tour and all of that. So I have a working list, and this is on it, and it does sound like it's difficult to find, which is a shame. But I would hope that there's a place, a central location of places where people can find the military-related areas there and do like your own self-guided walking tour, because these things are important. Veterans of all types need to be memorialized, and that's being done. And even veterans who are of canine descent need to be memorialized because they do great work as well. So I'm just happy that it's all going on, and I'm a little worried about CV there. You okay?
Yeah, I've got our esteemed editor is delivering me a grilled cheese sandwich. So. I did not get a chance to get my food intake today. So yeah, all is well. I'm alive and well, and living in the world of coronavirus. All right, Jeff, you are up now with topic number 3. What do you got for us today?
Topic number 3 is, if there is such a thing, it's good news on the suicide prevention side of things. There were 2 things passed recently. One is veteran specific. The other is helping the community, state, and nation, which we are always proud of here at the American Legion. The 988 National Crisis Hotline has been approved and will be in service in the fall of 2021. That's not veteran specific, but as you know, anything that helps with suicide prevention helps us with, especially when we lose 20-something a day. So we're super excited about that. There's also and I'm going to read this one because it's a long name, as congressional acts tend to be. This is the Commander John Scott Hannon Veterans Mental Health Care Improvement Act. Now, that
is there an acronym?
I was going to say, is there an acronym?
I mean, CGHHVM. They're
the CGHVM
they're all consonants.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, they're all consonants until Improvement Act. Yeah, it's the Letters Improvement Act. This one includes some things that are different. There's a grant program to work to collaborate locally with different organizations, which we'll want to keep an eye on because it sounds like it has great potential, but when you have grants coming from the big being dispersed out to the small, you kind of got to keep an eye on those. And there's some new hiring rules to quickly fill the VA mental health staffing gaps. That's super important because it sends me to the moon with anger every time I hear about somebody not being able to see someone when they go there, and then the worst happens because of it, because they can't see someone. And then it's also, there's new data requirements to better track potential causes of suicide. So we're getting these levels of protection here, and there's more on the way. Now, with the passage of this, there's something called the Compact Act. I don't know what all the letters mean, but I do know it is a collection of 9 House bills that are being fast-tracked, and they're related specifically to veteran suicide. And some of the highlights, one of the highlights is that it will include VA mental health care services to all veterans, regardless of their discharge status.
That's awesome.
Because it must have crossed the mind that people lose their mind and get kicked out because of their service.
That's going on, yeah.
So hopefully this is going to tick down our number, because that's what we have to do. You have to make 20 into 19, then you got to try to make 19 into 18, and you have to, because there's no silver bullet here to just get rid of the whole thing. But I hope this ticks it down 1 or 2, and then we go on to the next step. So that's the story, and I want to hear what the great minds of Tango Alpha Lima have to say about that.
Ashley, that's you.
Aww. Well, so no, I think this is a really great topic just to discuss out in the open, right? Because we so often are having these conversations that we need to end the stigma of mental health and, seeking aid, support, reaching out to friends. The American Legion has, their our battle buddy checks or our buddy checks, right? And it's just so important that we continue to seek resources, seek assistance. I just think this is important, and I think you're right, Jeff. As we will start to see some sort of progress. It's not going to jump down to 5 a day anytime soon, but we need to keep, that silver lining and continue to fight the good fight and know that you are important and you have a place here, and there are folks that want to support and help you and love you. So.
I don't know that I have anything to add more on that, other than the fact that obviously dialing 988 is a lot easier than trying to figure out the number all the time, to hand it off to somebody real quick. And, there are people, every now and again on Facebook, you get sort of an all hands on deck when somebody's, gone off the grid or whatever else. So I do think that, for all the bad that social media does, that's one of the good things I think it does too, is that you can kind of keep in touch with people and kind of gauge how they are. And when they just go off the grid, you get early indications, because, it's hard for me to contact all the guys I served with all the time. It's just a lot of effort. But if one of us posts something and then 50 guys jump on, you at least know, hey, those guys are okay. So it's nice to see
I think that you speak to a very good point about our individual obligation to the people around us and people that we served with, and that's one of the things. I'll just give a little unsolicited commercial. That's one of the things that drew me to the American Legion, and it's one of the things that when people ask me, well, what do you guys do? When we talk about getting them into the mix, I'm like, camaraderie is a tool. Yeah. Camaraderie is no joke. Mm-hmm. Camaraderie is connection to people, and connection to people can actually save lives. So to me, that's an important part of the work that we do, even before the buddy checks, and buddy checks take it to another level. Right. But even that day-to-day connection with people, I believe, saves lives.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I concur. No disagreements at all. All right, well, we will take our second commercial break, and I promise no wardrobe change this time. So
I'm going to take a nap.
We'll be back in just a minute. Dee-dee-dee.
Did you know the American Legion magazine is the most frequently read periodical in the nation? True story. Find out why by joining today at legion.org/join.
All right, and we are back. And we are about to go through our rapid fire, and it's going to be rapider than most rapid fires.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, here we go. Wow, that is something. Somebody cut that and start using it as our promo. Hoofa. All right, story from military.com. The Army has concluded that Specialist Vanessa Guillen's death, allegedly at the hands of another soldier, occurred in the line of duty, a designation that gives her next of kin access to benefits and services. The designation means that Guillen is entitled to a funeral with full military honors, and her family will receive a death gratuity, compensation under SGLI, final pay and allowance, and financial counseling services. Now, I'll be honest, when I first included this, it said the title of it was Vanessa Guillen's family will receive military death benefits after new Army ruling, which led me to believe there was a previous Army ruling that had said she was not entitled to that, which was kind of a head scratcher because I was like, wait a minute, how would this not be the line of duty? I mean, she was at the office like when this happened. But I'm happy to see that it was just me misreading it, apparently. What do you got on this one? I mean, is there any question about this stuff?
I misread exactly the same way you misread.
I misread it. I think
thought,
language is important here because when you first sent it over to me and I read it and I was like, what? I go, what do you mean? Like, it read as if it was originally denied, but I mean, it was pretty obvious. Like, they had confirmed she was killed on base. She's an active duty soldier by another soldier.
Yeah. Not
in
just
the
on
armory.
base, but I mean,
I
literally
feel like
in
I'm,
the armory.
I'm speaking like in terms of like the game of Clue right now, but like we literally have all of the things in the envelope. We know, like this shouldn't come to a surprise to folks that like, yeah, her family should get.
Yeah,
benefits.
it seems like it was a clickbait title at first, to stoke the anger and get you to read the story because it's so clearly obvious that it was happening on a base, doing her job, and at the hands of another rogue soldier. So I'm glad that it wasn't initially denied, and I'm not glad for the family, but I have good feelings about how the family is being treated in this situation, and because we do forget that everything that happens to a service member affects other people that we don't immediately know about, and that is the family.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. There's always second and third degree effects. So, all right, rapid fire 2, and we're going to go with the obvious jokes here in a minute, but the story is about the Marine Corps has put out 46 books on the 2020 Marine Commandant's reading list.
Aw, that's cute.
And as I noticed, and I put on Facebook today, I gotta think that the photo editor is an Army guy or something because the picture is literally a Marine reading like Horton Hears a Who. Like, I have no idea why they selected that one. It was obviously a Marine who was reading a book on video to their kids back home, but it was just crazy that was the picture. But I saw some of the books on there. First to Fight: An Inside View of the Marine Corps by Krulak. That's a given. Marine Sniper, 93 Confirmed Kills. That's by Charles Henderson. That's about Hathcock, and I particularly love that book because I used to work for Major Jim Land, who was his commanding officer in Vietnam. And then here's some of the interesting ones. The White Donkey, Terminal Lance by Maximilian Uriarte. Terminal Lance making it on the list. Good for you, man. Like, I hope you're listening. He's a good dude, and that's a great one. Tribe by Sebastian Junger, which is he's a great human being as well. He spent some time with my friend Lita Caruth, and shout out to Lita. But that's a great one. Unbroken by Laura Hildebrand, another great one. But the one that kind of had me scratching my head was Resilience, Hard-Won Wisdom for Living a Better Life by Eric Greitens. For those who don't know who Eric Greitens is, he's the former governor of Missouri who had to step down because he was having an affair. So Wisdom for Living a Better Life seems like maybe that one could have been left off. I'm not really sure. But Jeff, there's only the one comic book. No coloring books in one, and only one with
coloring
pictures.
books. Well, first of all, Marines don't do coloring books because we chow down on the crayons, especially if they're purple. I noticed you did not include Mad Dog Jim Mattis, General Jim Mattis.
I did in the first draft. I only took it off for brevity's sake, but yeah, I mean that's a no-brainer.
What do you mean for brevity's sake? That should have been your number one. I have that on my Kindle app, and I can't wait to either read or listen to it later. I will say this list, and actually made a face at the beginning because like, oh, a reading list for Marines, eh? But this is a long-standing tradition of having these reading lists. And the thing is they used to be in levels.
Yeah.
And it always offended me. I'm like, I'm smarter than almost every officer I've ever met. But why do they have a separate reading list than they have for enlisted people? This is the first one that it is one list. And it is, I don't know who has time in the Marine Corps out in the fleet to read 40s in 1 year. Well, you got to have a couple comic books to kind of bring the pace down a little bit.
But
I'm excited about this new thing.
I learned last week that you could actually read all 47 books if you went to basic training, but that's just what I heard.
I know what you're talking about. You
and your comment about the Army photo editor. First of all, that guy's like a 35-year-old Lance Corporal. I don't know if you know it. And he has like a Navy haircut.
No,
like, that was
it was just the fact that was the book crazy.
No, I get
photo.
that. But on levels, that picture's ridiculous for this story. Because that guy is not a Marine. He is not an E3 unless he got busted. And I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
Ashley, you read any of these books? Do you have any thoughts of reading these?
I have a question.
Oh boy.
Would you like them here or there? I do not like them, Sam I am. I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am.
So what's your question?
Yeah, that's not a question.
That's my comment.
You said you had a question. So
All right,
she's gonna make fun of Marines because that's on the list.
No.
But she can't form a question.
Would you like them here or there is a question.
I would not like them here or there. I would
not like them anywhere.
If any of you
would you like them in a house? Would you like them with a mouse?
This does kind of. She's having a mental breakdown. I think this is great.
I'm having my break, y'all.
Must see TV.
Hey, first of all, leaders need to have. They need to be able to communicate with people of all ages.
I understand.
Of all abilities, and if you come across a child and you are a great leader, and you can quote green eggs and ham.
And if you quote Chuck Krulak, that kid will remember you.
So overall, I think I'm an avid reader. We've talked about this before in other episodes. Like I love to pick up a good book. I've been reading a lot of Ryan Holiday for like stoicism and like just like mental clarity and like how to kind of go through the day. And that's kind of like one of the things that I've been kind of reading from like a Marcus Aurelius standpoint. So I think reading is incredibly enriching, and I've also been dabbling in a bit of writing myself, since I'm going to be finishing my book soon. So
awesome.
I concur. I think it's really great. I'm going to have to check it out and see if I can add something to my list. Put it on the other things I have to do.
No Adam Makos on the list, though. He's the if you ever get a chance, if you read a lot of military stuff, Adam Makos is the man. All right, let's go to the green eggs and ham story, kind of. The legendary World War II jungle fighters, Merrill's Marauders, finally get a Congressional Gold Medal. This story, if you don't, it's long overdue. There's, I think, 5 of them. Did the article say there was 5 of them left? But if you've never read the story about Merrill's Marauders, it's crazy. I mean, just crazy. They started out with 2,997 men and officers in India. By the time they finished the final assault in China, they had 130 combat effective officers and men. Everyone else had either been killed, wounded, or most of them had succumbed to illness, dysentery for the most part, because the military sent them with the wrong kind of rations, basically, and literally everyone got sick. And then when they teamed up with Chinese troops, for some reason, the U.S. troops didn't boil the water. They all got dysentery. Just a crazy story, but long overdue. What do you got on this one, Jeff?
Well, I think I'm seeing just a bigger picture, and I'm loving it. Is that awards that are long overdue or have been overlooked are coming to fruition?
Yep.
And I don't know if it has to do with technology or or stories being spread on the aforementioned social media. But whatever's happening, it's great and it's good. And then specifically to this story, there are things more dangerous on the battlefield than munitions impacting your body.
Yeah.
And so seeing and hearing this story about what they physically went through that had nothing to do with being shot is it's still a level of sacrifice, and I'm glad to see that it was recognized.
Ashley?
I have to concur. I think it's really great that they're bestowing this distinguished achievement on these folks, and it's long overdue, and I'm happy that we are stepping up to the plate and we're recognizing and reviewing our history and making sure that those that were there and have served our country, and some who have paid ultimate sacrifice, and vice versa. I think this is great. I think this is good.
Yeah, there's probably some people out there who think, well, let's not give out too many of these, but before you go and think that, look at the people they've given it to. Every group has been like, we're talking like Tuskegee Airmen and all these others, and there's other ones in the pipeline that are just as deserving. We talked about the Hello Girls in World War I. There's a lot of others, so I'm all for it. Let's keep them coming. There is no point in doing these when everybody is gone. Like, let's do it while there's still some living ones, so we can capture those oral histories and move on. All right, we'll go to rapid fire number 4. The Army is looking into a viral video showing a soldier drinking from an ocean spray juice bottle and lip syncing the words of the Fleetwood Mac hit Dreams while on a daytime parachute jump. Now, I didn't understand the context of this because I'm not all that hip, and neither are you two because you had no idea what I was talking about. But our own IT specialist, the hubby, he knew 100% what we were talking about. But
it's because he spends most of his time in front of the computer, playing video games, and I'm sure
this is not a time to bash your husband for being in touch
prepared,
with,
right?
Yeah.
Super producer Holly.
Check it. Just cross it off on the bingo board.
Super producer Holly actually told me about this one, and I had to look it up. And apparently this is a thing that you drink cranberry juice while lip syncing Fleetwood Mac. It'll apparently go viral for reasons I can't get. The army guy doing this while he's jumping brings back the legend that is Matthew Tattersall, who in his final week of active duty in a jump status jumped and took a selfie holding his pet Siamese fighting fish in a plastic water bottle. And that was epic when it happened. It was even more epic when he was ordered to write a 1,000-word essay of the importance of airborne safety and was later given 12 days of extra duty. But the name Matthew Tattersall will go down in history for just being that guy, that specialist who did that thing. Just spectacular. But what do you got on ocean spray parachuting, Jeff?
I didn't see the video, and I'm going to admit that, but it sounds, and at the beginning it just sounded silly, like a TikTok thing, but then to read, you always say there's always somebody that makes everybody have to sit through a safety brief. So and he's that guy now.
Yeah.
Because they're probably going to say, no food and beverages on the jump. This can create a hazardous situation.
Sitting on the edge of the flying helicopter.
So,
yeah, I mean, like every safety briefing you've ever had, the reason you're having it is because someone did something that stupid. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come up with it.
Over 60 million views, people. 60 million views. Epic. Forget an AAM. That, wow.
Right.
Just,
well,
wow.
I'm
He's
sure
not getting a good contact medal, but he will forever be remembered.
all the
that
cool
guy.
kids do not have the good conduct medal. I will just remind you of that one. All right, we are almost done here. Let's go with our shout outs. Ashley, you go first.
So I mentioned the Military Women's Memorial earlier. I encourage everyone out there, if you have a woman veteran in your life, you are a woman veteran, you know a woman veteran, register your story and have your voice be heard. So that not only is that the pledge statue incredibly important, but your story is just as important as we archive and continue to push forward on women veteran issues. So that is my shout out.
Jeff?
All right, my shout out is I was on the social media the other day and ran into someone named April Moffett of Post 370 in Highlands, North Carolina. As I said, we crossed paths in a comment section and the Legion came up. She's in a small post of about 50, but they are growing and they are doing things. She told me that they meet outside right now. That's their COVID thing. No video meetings because, as she says, not a lot of techies, but that's okay. We make do with what we have. We were trained to do that, comma, LOL. And for Ashley's sake, that means laugh out loud. She goes on to say, we do a lot of community deals and started doing stand downs a couple of years ago. It's been a great thing to have here since navigating the VA is like navigating Fort Knox. So shout out to April Moffett, Post 370 in Highlands, North Carolina. And I hope we hear more stories from posts of all sizes that are doing things. I mean, it's for a post of 1,300, I sometimes forget that we have all the people that we have to help us do things, and they are doing things in the mountains of North Carolina, about 2.5 hours from our national commander, and they're getting it done, so shout out to them.
My shout out is to everyone that in about a week, the election will be over. We can go back to living our lives without having to deal with it. But more specifically, 181 veterans running for Congress this year, a new high, a recent high anyway, since World War II. But 181 veterans. I'm not, some of them are running against each other. We're obviously not going to get 181 in. But no matter where you stand, hey, standing up there and being a candidate for espousing what you believe in, especially in this world where everyone is just going to bash you. More people are going to bash you than are going to say thank you. So I'm saying thank you to all 181 of you, no matter whether you're far right, far left, or somewhere in between. Thanks for standing up and taking it and leading by example. All right, folks, that's it. We are coming in short, so we're probably going to get some award of the liquid and hops and barley variety from super producer Holly, because we are going to finish this 15 minutes early. Heroic. Yay. So, all right, folks, we will see you next week. Bye.